am pleased to meet you, or just a simple hello. Resist saying things like, I've heard a lot about you, as this can be uncomfortable to the other party. Another aspect of etiquette is making small talk. Once the introductions are over and done with, the most difficult bit is what to say next. Conversation is definitely an art, and making small talk requires even more skill. To develop the ability to make fascinating conversation with anyone, try the following. Be the one who starts the conversation. This takes away any awkwardness. Talk about a recent news item on radio or TV so that you have a current topic readily available in your mind to avoid becoming tongue-tied. Talk about anything you may have in common. The most common point will be the person who has just introduced you. Ask the other party how he or she knows him or the host if you're at a function. Do not ask dead-end questions that a person will simply be forced to respond with a simple yes or no. Ask leading questions, if only to keep the conversation flowing. Imagine how disconcerting those silent lulls can be when two people are facing each other with nothing to say. Some of the best conversation topics are polite personal questions. Remember that people love talking about themselves instead of asking directly, so what do? You may ask, do you work in Nairobi? Which may be followed by a rejoinder like, how do you find life abroad? When all else fails, you may talk about that ever significant phenomenon, the weather, or even the upcoming elections. This has been Self-Care Tips. I am Irene Joroge.
Despite the development of kitchenware, cookware using modern technology, the art of pottery is still gaining popularity.
The process proudly brought to you by Buchan Furnitures Limited, local manufacturers of quality office furniture and dealers in quality office equipment like fireproof safes and cabinets. For orders, visit our showroom at Uniafric House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street.
Every day, you hear news reports about routine immunization across Kenya. Once pregnancy is confirmed, a mother is recommended to visit the health facility for tetanus toxoid vaccination. As soon as a child is born, a child receives a birth dose of oral polio and BCG. At 6, 10, and 14 weeks of age, a child is to receive polio vaccine drops, pentavalent vaccine on the left thigh, PCV10 vaccine and rotavirus vaccine, and at 14 weeks, IPV on the right thigh. In addition, a child is recommended for yellow fever vaccine in some select counties. In malaria endemic sub-counties, a child will receive malaria vaccine at 6 months, 7 months, 9 months, and 24 months. At 18 months, a child receives measles rubella vaccine. At 10 to 14 years of age, a girl child is supposed to receive 2 doses of HPV vaccine 6 months apart. All adults of age 15 years and above are recommended to receive COVID-19 vaccines. Make every immunization visit count. Make a visit now to your nearest health facility. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and UNICEF.
thank you for joining us on KBC Channel 1. This is Catherine Kasavuli, and of course, this is the Legends edition. Well, on The Living Legend tonight, we are hosting Dr. Joseph Olwot, a respiratory surgeon or physician who's going to take us through matters COVID and any other thing to do with respiratory organs. So please stay tuned. Of course, later on, we're going to have Topi Liambila on the sports desk. So don't go away. It's going to be a nice evening. Thank you for joining us.
Hadi wote ambao wanaweza kuleta mabadiliko. Mimi nawajua hawa fisi. Najua siri yao. Hawa jamaa hawezi unaambia wewe at bottoms up. Hiyo ni slogan tu.
Don't buy into the lies. ODM leader Raila Odinga cautions the Mount Kenya region against falling prey to empty political rhetoric. Dancing to the tunes of a new alliance, NARC Kenya leader Martha Karua joins the One Kenya Alliance for a rally in Machakos County. And the bane of endless banditry, leaders in Baringo call for lasting peace after 2 people are shot and injured in Lemeiwe. Well, thank you for joining us on KBC Channel 1. This is the Legends edition. And of course, as I told you earlier on, my name is Catherine Kasavuli. Our sign language interpreter is Byron Aburi. He's with us this evening. And now on to the main news. ODM party leader Raila Odinga has dismissed his opponents in the presidential contest as people who cannot bring the change the country desires. Speaking at an Azimio la Umoja campaign rally at Ihura Stadium in Murang'a, Raila said he has worked with them in government and knows their traits.
Ihura Stadium in Murang'a was packed to capacity in an event organized by the Azimio la Umoja movement to drum support for ODM leader Raila Odinga's 5th stab at the presidency. Speakers praised him for the reforms he made both in government and as opposition leader.
Tunakupenda sana. Kwanza kwa sababu ya handshake umefanya president wetu afanye kazi na tumeona maendeleo.
Watu wa Murang'a baba, kutoka Kagia, kutoka Robia, kutoka Matiba na viongozi wote, watu wa Murang'a warudi nyuma. Na watu wa Murang'a wakisema wamekusupport.
Hii mlima inaonekana imekuwa ngumu sana kwa wengine kupanda. Ndio unaona wameenda kule Western kudanganya wengine. Watu wa Murang'a msikubali hiyo maneno ifanyike hapa. Na tumefanya kazi na watu kutoka Murang'a. Tumefanya kazi na Matiba, tumefanya kazi na Rubia, tumefanya kazi na Warung'ang'a. Na sasa pia viongozi kutoka Murang'a mnatuletea heshima hapa Kenya.
Kama baba ni project, awe project ya watu wa Murang'a. Tohamwe, mnataka awe project ya watu wa Murang'a. Onyesheni yeye rada ya baba.
In his speech, Raila dismissed other presidential contenders as people who are not capable of fulfilling the aspirations of Kenyans if given the mantle of presidency.
Hadi wote ambao wanaweza kuongoza nchi yetu. Hadi wote ambao wanaweza kuleta mabadiliko. Mimi nawajua hawa fisi. Najua siri yao. Hawa jamaa hawezi unaambia wewe at bottoms up. Hiyo ni slogan tu.
Raila said in his quest for presidency, he was not offering promises he could not fulfill, asserting that he knows how his blueprint will be funded.
Wale watu wa Tanga wanasema baba anasema uongo. Ati hakuna pesa. Hakuna pesa. Mimi naambia hao pilipili soila ya kuashia ni. Nimekuwa waziri mkuu wa taifa la Kenya kwa miaka 6. Najua pale pesa iko. Najua pale hao jamaa kila mara wanapenya nayo hazina zetu, wanatoboa, wanaingia ndani, wanaiba pesa zetu. Mtaziba hilo mianya zote.
Besides the Baba Care program that will provide access to health care without discrimination, Raila said his government will also cater for the welfare of single mothers.
Sisi tuko na sera katika Azimio, sera ya kuinua uchumi ya taifa letu, ili Kenya itoke katika jamii ya mashirika ya nchi fukara ileke katika jamii nchi ambazo zimeendelea zaidi.
In a gesture symbolic of his forays in Mount Kenya, Murang'a leaders gifted him shoes that they said will help him climb the mountain. Beatrice Gatonyengetich, Legends Edition.
Thank you, Beatrice. Deputy President William Ruto has urged voters to reject candidates he termed as state projects ahead of August general elections. Speaking during the Kenya Kwanza Alliance rallies in Embu and Kirinyaga counties, Ruto accused his political rivals of being pushed to win the forthcoming elections in order to safeguard interests of individuals.
Deputy President William Ruto was in Embu and Kirinyaga counties to popularize his presidential bid and market his newfound partnership with the NC boss Musalia Mudavadi and Ford Kenya leader Moses Wetangula.
Tumeungana sio kwa sababu ya kutafuta nafasi ya vyeo na mamlaka. Tumeungana kwa sababu tuko na changamoto Kenya.
Ideology ya UDA na ideology yetu ni kwamba tuweke uchumi wa Kenya mbele, tuanzie pale.
Being their third political rally in just 1 week, the Kenya Kwanza coalition counterparts urged voters to reject candidates imposed to them ahead of the August general election.
Lakini kwa heshima kubwa, nataka nimuulize rafiki yangu rais, tafadhali raisi wetu, hiyo project ya kitendawili haiwezekani. Project ya kitendawili no. Ile hasara tumepata kwa mambo ya kitendawili haihesabiki.
We want on the 9th of August 2022 we have a united government that will not pull in different directions.
Accompanied by leaders allied to UDA, ANC and Ford Kenya parties, the leaders accused Azimio la Umoja movement led by ODM party leader Raila Odinga of being pushed to safeguard interests of individuals.
Raila akizungumzia kwa jirani wenu hapa Murang'a ati kwa wiki 2 atateremusha ifike 3,000. Atateremusha kama nani? Yeye ndiye serikali. Kama ataweza kufanya hivyo, yale majanga na makosa yote tunaona kwa serikali basi itakuwa ni juu yake.
Ile maagano ya watu ya Mlima na William Ruto, mambo ya guaranteed minimum return, bei ya kahawa, majani chai na maziwa, igali iko vile tulikubaliana.
Meanwhile, the UDA National Elections Board has announced a 50% nomination fee waiver to all women and youth aspirants.
And we encourage more women, youth and PWD, that is people with disabilities, to apply as aspirants with UDA.
Board announced that there will be no special aspirants in the party's planned nominations, assuring all that the exercise will be free and fair. Ben Chumba, Legends Edition.
Thank you, Ben Chumba. Tension is high in Lemaiue area of Baringo South after armed bandits shot and injured 2 herders. The 2 are currently receiving treatment at the Baringo Referral Hospital. The latest incident adds to a growing list of insecurity cases in the region, with area leaders calling on the government to step up security efforts to help save lives and property.
The 2 herders, Patrick Kimayo and James Ngetich, were ambushed by the attackers at Lamayo area of Baringo South. According to a nurse at the Baringo Referral Hospital, the 2 men are in a stable condition.
And James Ngetich sustained a gunshot wound on the left gastrocnemius muscles. Some of superficials, not so deep, but he is also in a stable condition. But the other guy is still bleeding, active bleeding. Patrick Kimayo is still bleeding, but they've stabilized him.
Area leaders want the government to assure the locals of their security and stem the vice.
Sile vifaru venye zilipelekwa Laikipia siweze kuletwa kwa sababu hawa nguvu ya OCS ya Mochongoi, ya police station ya Mochongoi haitawaweza. Nguvu ya officers wetu ya Baringo pande ya Mochongoi haitawaweza. So tulitarajia kwamba tutakapotoa hii wito tutapata reinforcement ya kutosha.
The Kerio Valley and parts of Laikipia County have been plagued by rampant insecurity over the years. Some of the attacks are often followed by retaliation, a double-edged sword that has created a cycle of untold suffering to women and children. Dwindling pasture, cattle rustling, and conflict over water are some of the points of friction between communities living in the region.
Nyanya wa miaka 90 na nyanya wa miaka 100 wale ambao wanafunga mifugo hawalali na wameishi maisha marefu. Lakini sasa hawalali kwa sababu wanaogopa akilala ng'ombe yake inakujiwa.
Na ilifikia wakati shamba langu la eka 5 likakuliwa lote, nyumba yangu ikachomwa na kila kitu mpaka kitambulisho na simu, ili nibidi nitoroke. Na wakati huu nimehifadhiwa na rafiki mwenzangu, na zaidi ningeomba viongozi wawe mabaruzi wa amani katika area hii yetu. Ni kwa sababu bila amani mkulima hawezi lima, mchungaji hawezi chunga.
Locals hope that peace campaigns can go a long way in silencing the guns and entrenching tranquility in the troubled region. Nancy Okware, Legends Edition.
Police in Kiambu are investigating the alleged murder of an unidentified middle-aged woman whose body was found dumped in a maize plantation in Yeshosho village at Riabai. According to locals, the woman whose body was discovered by a resident who was farming had been defiled before being dumped in the plantation.
Shock and grief rocked Gishosho village at Riabai, Kiambu County on Saturday. This is after a decomposing body was discovered in a maize plantation in the area. According to locals, a casual laborer at the farm was going about her duties when she came across an unidentifiable decomposing body and raised the alarm.
Kulima ile side akakuja hivi. Venye leo alianza jana. Venye leo alifika hapa kuja akapata mwili wa mwanamke umelala. Na huyo mwanamke ni kama alikuwa raped kwa sababu nguo za chini yana lakini za juu zimetolewa zikafika hapa juu ya matiti. Na ni kama pia amekuliwa. Sasa hatuwezi tukadungwa na kisu ama ni mbwa zimemkula.
Kauliza mauaji imekuaje? Imekuwa ni ya nini? Yule amefanya hii mauaji amefanya kwa nini? Kwa nia gani?
Mahali tumefika bado hatujua ametoka wapi na hatumtambui. Nguo zimeonekana mbali na ni kama mwanamke ni kama alikuwa anaenda mahali na viatu kwa sababu kuna viatu zimepatikana na kabag ka blue Crocs na ni safi, lakini nguo zake ile trouser alikuwa amevaa na viatu zenye alikuwa amevaa bado zimepatikana pale kando karibu na mti.
Area residents who rushed to the scene say they found signs that the deceased could have been defiled before being murdered and injuries on her face that could have been caused by an animal.
Labda ni umbwa, lakini umbwa akisikia pahali kuna harufu si ataenda juu kuonesha hii mwili imekuwa imekaa siku kadhaa ndio yoze iwe na harufu.
Locals suspect that the assailants had escaped into a nearby thicket where the victims' clothes were found and urge police to address deterioration of security in the area.
Sisi wananchi wa huku ndio tunajishukulia sheria mikononi. Kwa hivyo tunawaomba security, askari wetu ambao tumepewa katika kijiji, tafadhali nyinyi ndio macho yetu wakati hatuko, wakati tumelala, nyinyi ndio mmepatiwa hiyo kazi ya kutuwekea security.
Labda serikali ndio itachukua hiyo jukumu, ifanye DNA ndio wajue mwili ni ya nani.
Tunaomba tupewe at least tupewe camp ya police pale kwa Katrodip wala wakitulinda.
Reporting for Legends Edition, I'm Jackie Wambiro.
Thank you, Jackie. We now take a break, and of course, when we come back, we have Fayaz Qureshi interviewing Dr. Joseph Aluoch, respiratory physician.
What does 36 hours mean to you? With the construction of a new railway line linking the standard gauge railway to the meter gauge railway at the Naivasha Inland Container Depot, 36 hours now means the total transit time for transportation of cargo between the port of Mombasa and Malaba through rail. This is a game changer for transporters and importers as they shall enjoy faster transit times at affordable rates from $860 for a 20-feet container. More benefits from the seamless railway line include reliable, regular and speedy delivery of cargo, safety and security of cargo through real-time cargo tracking, terminal incentives at the Naivasha ICD. With railway transport aiming to boost movement of goods in the East African region, improving hinterland connectivity and spurring regional economic growth, it is safe to say we are right on track.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii ya mtu ni watu, bonyeza *811*961#.
Mungu akitaka kukubariki atatumia watu. Maombi yako akitaka kuyajibu atatumia mtu. Hauwezi ukakaa maisha ya kujitenga. Hapana, sababu unahitaji watu. Angalia, toka nje, wacha kukaa peke yako. Toka, kutana na watu. Jumuika na watu, penda watu, furahia watu, zungumza na watu. Baraka.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya mtu ni watu, bonyeza *811*961#. *811*961#.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Well, you are watching the Legends Edition, and welcome back. The One Kenya Alliance wound up their 3-day tour in Ukambani with a rally at Machakos County. It is here that NARC Kenya leader Martha Karua joined Gideon Moi of KANU and Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper an indication she may be joining OCA. Elsewhere, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry President Richard Ngatia, who is vying for the Nairobi gubernatorial seat, has promised to provide an environment for industries to thrive so as to address unemployment.
Angalia historia ya mtu. Hiyo ndio itakwambia ni nani anakuongelezea. Na ndivyo ujue, ndivyo uweze kuelewa kama ni fisi amevaa ngozi ya kondoo.
Sikubali wengine wachukue ushukani, kwa sababu wakichukua ushukani Kenya kwisha.
Wazazi wanaumia kwa sababu hawana karo. Biashara zimefungwa kwa sababu ya ufisadi, zingine kwa sababu ya corona. Sisi wanahoka tutasema tutaleta free secondary education.
Ndio kuhakikisha hizo viwanda zimeimarika. Lazima tukiongea maneno ya biashara, lazima viwanda zinashughulikiwa kwanza. Tukiongea maneno ya pesa, ati hatuna pesa kwa mfuko, naenda kuchukua pesa mahali, naenda kukopa loan, lazima tushughulikie viwanda.
And now on to matters COVID. 123 people have tested positive for the disease from a sample size of 4,829 tested in the last 24 hours. The positivity rate is now at 2.5%. From these cases, 96 are Kenyans and 27 are foreigners. 79 are males, while 44 are female. Today, there is no death that was reported this Saturday. Meanwhile, 38 patients have recovered from the disease. 34 are from the home-based isolation and care program, while 4 are from various health facilities countrywide. Well, a total of 11.9 million vaccines have been administered across the country. Of these, over 6.4 million are partially vaccinated, while those fully vaccinated are slightly over 5 million. Another 45,768 people aged between 15 to 18 years of age have received the jab, while 137,031 have received booster doses. Globally, over 370 million cases of COVID-19 have been reported to the World Health Organization, while slightly over 5.6 million people have succumbed to the disease. Well, the country's efforts to increase forest cover from the current 7% to 10% may not bear fruits if the continued use of firewood as the dominant cooking fuel in the rural areas is not mitigated. Of late, clean cooking has become a reliable entrepreneurial venture for many Jua Kali artisans and innovators who are making modern stoves that use briquettes as an alternative to fossil fuels. But as Weekly for Catch reports, lack of funding and awareness by the public has hindered mass production of such stoves.
Statistics from the Ministry of Energy as at 2021 indicate that 90% of Kenya's rural households still use firewood as the dominant cooking fuel. In Kisumu County, 49.6% of rural households use firewood, 22.2% use charcoal, while 7.8% use paraffin.
Mostly huko nyumbani tunatumia kuni. Kuna misitu zingine hapo kando kando ya bahari huko. Sasa tunaingia hapo na kutafuta kuni na tunakuja kupikia.
Firewood, yes, like this, it has a lot of effects, like the problem of blood. We are being told that after using it, we are supposed to drink a lot of milk.
The continued use of such fossil fuels is not only detrimental from the health perspective, but also impedes the country's efforts to increase forest cover from the current 7% to 10%, which is one of the ways to mitigate climate change.
We have looked too much into lighting, but we're not looking much into the cooking methods. Because if you're like an authority like the Rural Electrification Authority, you realize that they are looking too much into how they can, light up, provide clean, affordable, sustainable energy. But mostly it's usually on the lighting perspective, but you're not looking at the cooking perspective. So as we move forward, I think as much as we're looking into the lighting, also the government should see how we can also look into the cooking perspective of it.
Consequently, Juakali artisans and innovators across the country have come up with an innovation meant to cut on fossil fuel usage. Alex Odundo, the proprietor of Olex Techno Enterprises in Kisumu, is one of such innovators. He makes modern stoves that use briquettes for fuel instead of charcoal.
This device here is a kind of stove that is helping our people to burn on non-carbonized briquettes. Non-carbonized briquettes is known as is a product that is made out of waste, but for some time it has been used in boilers most of the times. But then we were trying to find a way of making it something that can be used by small users, like domestic in domestic usage, or hotels, or in schools.
Alex says he has showcased the product to a number of potential buyers, some of whom have made a purchase while some remain skeptical, hence demotivating him from mass production.
Okay, people are very positive about it, but now for somebody to just pick up and start using it.
And while Laban Okeo from the Kisumu County Energy Department maintains that 100 million shillings was allocated for enterprises in the current financial year, access to these funds remain unclear to many innovators.
We do encourage the entrepreneurs in the clean cooking sector. Yeah, we inform them about the funding. We tell them to get organized so that they can access the funding. It is not limited to a specific type of enterprise.
Recently, the Kisumu Water and Sanitation Company raised concerns over a decrease in water levels in River Kibos due to climate change, thus affecting water supply in the county. This is enough evidence that continued use of fossil fuels hinders efforts to mitigate climate change, with both levels of government challenged to adopt more precise policies and strategies to curtail the trend. The adoption of modern cooking stoves is one of the ways that both levels of government can adopt to phase out the use of fossil fuels. This should include funding the Juakali artisans to produce such stoves in large numbers and also conduct sensitization campaigns in the rural areas to increase uptake. Wycliffe Okech reporting for Channel 1.
Well, we now take a break, and when we come back, of course, Topi Liambila will be here to walk us through the sporting arena where Harambee Stars have been featuring. Well, we take a break now. Don't go away.
Beacon Furnitures Limited. We're local manufacturers of quality office furniture, dealers in quality office equipment like fireproof safes and cabinets. Our automated state-of-the-art factories at Henna House along Enterprise Road in Nairobi's industrial area. Our showroom is at Uniafrica House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street. We are passionate believers in locally manufactured goods. When you and I buy locally made furniture, we impact on the livelihoods of our brothers and sisters. For orders, visit our showroom at Uniafrica House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street. Beacon Furnitures Limited. Jenga Kenya, tupate ajira.
Hello, good evening, and once again, it's a big welcome to this Saturday edition's Legends Edition on this sports segment as we kick off. Quite a number of interesting stories. We're starting with the Harambee Starlets, then we shall have something on the Ferdinand Omanyala and also on the Australian tennis Open, the Grand Slam. Now, starting with football, Football Kenya Federation Caretaker Committee has today written to the Confederation of African Football CAF, maintaining that national football women's team Harambee Starlets will still travel to Uganda for the Africa Cup of Nations qualifier match against the Crested Cranes. This follows a statement released by the Sports Ministry late last night that dismisses reports that Starlets had withdrawn from the fixture. Munga with our report today.
The Ministry of Sports, led by Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed, has rubbished claims that Harambee Starlets have been withdrawn from the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations qualifier match against neighbours Uganda. In a statement released last evening, the ministry maintains that Starlets are already in camp as they prepare for the first leg of the qualifier match. The statement goes on to say that anyone found culpable of interfering with Starlets' efforts to honour the match will be held accountable. The controversy began yesterday after Uganda's football governing body FUFA claimed that the Crested Cranes had earned automatic qualification for the Continental Showcase that is scheduled for next year in Morocco. FUFA claimed that it had received communication from CAF about Starlets' withdrawal, a claim the Ministry of Sports refutes. In a rejoinder, the FKF Caretaker Committee has also released a statement confirming that the match will continue as previously scheduled, with the first leg set for 17th February in Uganda, with the return leg being hosted in Nairobi 5 days later.
National Rugby Sevens side Shujaa lost their last Pool D match in the ongoing HSBC Sevens World Series in Seville, going down 14-10 to Scotland. Earlier on, Shujaa redeemed themselves following a terrible start in Seville yesterday, thrashing Canada 24-5 in their second Pool D match, improving their chances of qualifying for the Cup quarterfinals.
Side, they can beat anyone on their day when they're flying.
After falling 42-0 to Australia in the first pool match yesterday, Shujaa came into today's matches keen on redemption as they hope to qualify to the Cup quarters for the first time this year. Despite trailing to Canada shortly into the match, Shujaa would take a 7-5 halftime lead after a spirited fight thanks to Harman Humwa.
Paul's been preaching and their tackle completion rate is up, although they've been breached right through the middle. Fantastic work from Humwa.
It didn't take long for Shujaa to extend their lead in the second half, courtesy of Alvin Otieno's unconverted try.
They've tested this Canadian defense, but only breached it once in the first half. Oh, and we talked about the power and the pace, the mix, and Alvin Otieno, unstoppable.
In what was a repeat of last weekend's clash between the two nations in Malaga that ended in Canada's favour, Shujaa would get the last laugh as two more tries from Anthony Omondi and Vincent Omanyala secured their first win in Seville.
Hard in field goes Mwale. They're keeping the ball alive. This is good offloading. Humwa. And finally it comes back to Mwale. He's 2 meters out. There's options around. Tony Omondi, try for Kenya.
Well, we did a bit of a feature this week about offloads. That is how you do it.
That one comes out. This could be another try conceded. Omanyala still going. The Hooters sounded. Vincent Omanyala gets Kenya's fourth try.
In the other Group D match, Australia made it 2 wins in 2 matches after a 19-7 win against Scotland.
This is danger for Scotland. Rounding the corner across the face of the defence. Corey Toole resumes where he left off last week. Fantastic individual.
There's been a spate of mixed fortunes in Seville, Spain for Shujaa, but we however wish them the best of luck in the remaining matches. They can regain their composure and make a better finishing this year. Now, former Kenya Premier League champions Gor Mahia have parted ways with their entire technical bench led by Mark Harrison, with the Ugandan tactician Paul Nkata taking over on the interim basis until the end of the season. Kogalo have settled on the former Tusker coach, and he'll be assisted by Peter Odhiambo, formerly working as the head coach for the youth team. The arrival of Nkata ends the reign of British coach Mark Harrison and his assistant Sammy Omolo. The team has also fired the entire bench, which includes goalkeeper trainer Jerry Monyango and team manager Jolawi Abondo. Nkata is not a stranger on the top tier league, as he has also managed a number of clubs, among them Muhoroni Youth, Nairobi City Stars, Kakamega Homeboys and Bandari. Africa 100-meter sprint record holder Ferdinand Omanyala says he's ready to kickstart his season, and his main target is to break his own record. Omanyala, who trains at the Kasarani Stadium, promised to accomplish the mission he promised Kenyans after being crowned in 2021 Sportsman of the Year.
Omanyala is gearing up for the World Indoor Championship set to be held on 18th of March this year in Belgrade, Serbia. He will then take part in the Police Athletics Championships and Nationals in April. He will also participate in the Kipkeino Classic in May before taking part in the Continental Tour in May, African Championship in June, World Championship in July, and finish the season at the 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth Games in July.
Last year was a very good year for me. It was a year that it was a miracle year for me, and you know, like we've been watching movies. I can say my life was a movie last year because it was like a 360-degree turnaround. And the biggest moment I had was when I qualified for the Olympic Games here at Kasarani, and getting that Olympic qualification time was the greatest thing that I could ever have.
Omanyala has promised to break his own African record and set a legacy for Kenya.
One thing I want to promise is that this year is going to be even better. This year I'm going to make you even prouder. And I want to advise the young athletes who are coming up that this life, there's so many challenges, not even athletes, but everybody generally. There's so many challenges in life, but one thing you should never do is never give up. Read from my story. I never gave up. For the 5 years we've been trying and trying, but the 5th year now came, the breakthrough came.
For Legends Edition Sports, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Strength and conditioning volleyball course organized by the Kenya Volleyball Federation KVF came to an end today at the Absa Sports Club in Nairobi. The 6-day course, conducted by Geoffrey Onyango, Teresia Mundegani, Kevin Owora and Richard Sylvain, attracted 28 volleyball coaches from across the country. Here's a report by Mwendwa.
Coaches from Kenya Volleyball League clubs, self-supporting clubs and secondary school participated in the 6-day strength and conditioning course organized by the Kenya Volleyball Federation at the Absa Sports Club Hall in Nairobi. Teresia Mudengani, one of the facilitators, said the aim of the course was to help the coaches understand the importance of physical fitness.
We have looked into depth of the human anatomy, the volleyball anatomy to be precise, movements that pertain volleyball as a sport and what they can do basically to just equip the players, be better performers for the sport.
After this course, I want to confess that we have gained much, personally I've gained much, the way we approach issues during our games. And the way we attend to them, usually we've realized we do them the wrong way.
Kenyan Volleyball Federation Deputy President Charles Nyaberi said that his federation has lined up several volleyball tournaments this season.
For many years we have spent all the energy on ball work and teamwork, and forgotten the most important thing, and that is the state and status of the player himself. So this strength and conditioning training aims first of all to prepare the player, the frame of the player, make the player stronger through nutrition, through psychology and through exercise.
Some of the Kenyan coaches who took part in the course include Catherine Mabwi, Geoffrey Omondi, Samson Sunguti, Dan Tali, and former Kenyan international James Otere, among others.
Now, local under-18 girls tennis players lost hope of qualifying for the Africa Junior Championships after losing all their matches at the ongoing ITF Tour Junior Championship at the Nairobi Sports Club. Kenyan players participated in the event, aiming to secure a ticket to the African Junior Championships, slated to be held in March this year. The event, which attracted 17 countries including hosts Kenya, England, Belgium and Brazil, will end on the 12th of this month. Mwendwa with the details. Back on the local scene again, Jonathan Jackson Foundation, JJF, has officially launched the third basketball court at Riruta Stadium in Kawangware, in line with its BAKEE MATAANI initiative, following through on the promise of building more courts within the communities in Nairobi's informal settlements. The launch and handover ceremony focused on empowering the community members through support of world-class sports facilities. Munga, the report.
We give them the facilities.
The basketball court will provide a safe space for the youths to interact and hone their sporting talents, keeping them positively engaged and hence reducing the chances of them taking part in social vices.
We want to do basketball, and I think basketball is a great sport to be working in the communities, and it doesn't need so much big piece of land, and it can really engage with the youth, and you guys can come and play. So we've already built 2 in Kawangware, over in Riruta. We are wanting to build this one here, and then we want to build 2 more in the Kawangware area.
Exposure to professional basketball players, life skills and fellowship among the youth, as well as basketball scholarships to promote basketball pro-level playing as a career, are all part of the project's long-term agenda.
I remember I stood here and said that talent must be developed from very early on. So when we see talent being developed from our high schools coming up to the leagues that are coming up, we would want for this basketball court to not only serve basketballers who are there today. We want to develop new basketball.
Nairobi Metropolitan Services representative Ms. Jane Kagiri stated that the investment supplements the community investments done by NMS and goes beyond sports and positively affects the mental growth of the youths and the community at large.
I want to thank you as Nairobi Metropolitan Services, because what you're doing here is helping us. And not to you, you may just think it's a basketball pitch that you have created, but to us, we're in charge of health facilities. When these young people come and play here, we reduce the budget of our health facilities.
We have about 46 teams in our league. So for the opening games on March 19, we will be willing to bring our teams here to popularize the game. So we will liaise with the people who handle games here so that we bring the games and popularize it.
JJF's ambitious plan is to construct 12 basketball courts in Kenya in the first phase of construction. Gatina Primary and HGM Primary School, both in Dagoretti North, were the beneficiaries of this initiative.
Great initiative there from the Basketball Federation to start the building of a sport from the grassroots. I hope that the other federations also take a cue and follow suit. Now, on the international scene, Ashley Barty made history on Saturday by becoming the first Australian woman to win the first Grand Slam in 44 years. The world #1 ended decades of hurt with a memorable victory, recovering from 5-1 down in the second set to clinch it at 6-3, 7-6 victory over the first-time major finalist Danielle Collins and claim her third Grand Slam title. Victory for Barty saw her become the first homegrown player to lift the Duffin-Akhurst Memorial Cup since Chris O'Neill in 1978, as well as becoming the only active player other than Serena Williams to have won major titles on 3 different surfaces. And that's what we heard for you from our KBC Legends Edition Sports Roundup this evening on Saturday. We hope that you join us again next Saturday with another edition. Now, from now, we take a break and then we come back. Of course, Catherine Kasavuli will take over and bring up the interview with a good doctor on respiratory. I'm Topi Gambila, signing off this Saturday evening.
Week on Your Health, we take you to Nambale and share with you a journey that has seen hundreds of lives of children in the area saved courtesy of the 4-dose jab.
Malaria has been a great burden in this part of the country, and it's one of the diseases that has led to deaths of under 5s, mostly pregnant women, because they are the group that is mostly affected by the seriousness of the disease.
Huyu mtoto vile nilimzaa ako tofauti na wale watoto wenye nimezaanga nyuma. Tofauti yenye iko, huyu mtoto amepata hizo chanjo, imemsaidia sababu malaria sio sana apate.
Taking Isaac to Moriah, we'll sacrifice to the Lord.
Father, why do we sacrifice?
We sacrifice out of obedience. It's how we worship.
My God! Have mercy, oh God! Where is the lamb for the burnt offering?
The Lord will provide himself a lamb.